welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. You know what Christy Mathewson wasn't worried about? SIERA. When you're thinking about Pedro Ciriaco, I mean, the only one that can compete is maybe Hannes Wagner's 1908 season. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Kern.
Like, if we just clip together every time we've talked about him on other people's profiles, we've done a Mickey Cochran episode.
I can't get past Rabbit Marinville. It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I'm doing well. I think Zoom must have updated recently because every time you start the recording of the show, I get like this robot voice that just says recording in progress. I didn't get that before. I think it's funny because it's like I hear that on top of you doing the intro because you record and then immediately go into it.
Yeah, I noticed that when there's been a couple Zoom recordings in the past where I've heard that, but like I never imagined it on your end because I'm always pressing the record button. But yeah, very it's a interesting combination to have.
Yeah, it is.
Two collaborations of energy. So yeah, I mean, you know, interesting weekend of baseball. Definitely some news you wouldn't expect. You know, I would say, you know, Thursday night we got something that we would expect as baseball fans, some greatness we would expect, you know, in terms of just great moments. And, you know, Saturday night, just, you know, that's the fun thing about no hitters is, you know, it always just starts out randomly and you never know it's going to happen. That's what makes no hitters and perfect games kind of, or even like 4 home run games and cycles. It's what kind of makes them interesting because it's just an ordinary baseball day by other means. But I guess we'll start out with the no-hitter that took place Saturday. For those unaware, I mean, the story has been gone over 1,000 times since it happened. First career MLB start for Tyler Gilbert. He no-hits the San Diego Padres. No slouch of a lineup. Not the Rangers, not the Rangers, Indians, or Mariners, who have been no-hit multiple times this season. This was the Padres that were no-hit. But also, you know, as analytical people, it's sometimes hard for us to enjoy these types of no-hitters. You know, we're not going to give you we're not the show that's going to give you the cliche sort of story about it was his first MLB start and he was out of baseball for a while and he's come back and he's no-hit the San Diego Padres. You've kind of heard that 1,000 times, but what were your thoughts on the Tyler Gilbert historic no-hitter?
I mean, I think it is cool that he did do it. Like, it is a cool story, and I think we should touch on it because, I mean, he was a Rule 5 pick who came from a division rival who, you know, he came out this night. No one had really heard of him before. I had only heard his name a couple of times, didn't really think much of it, and, you know, here he is no-hitting one of the better lineups in baseball.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I'm not gonna shame a guy.
This guy
for,
actually
like, having
sucks.
a no-hitter.
Don't pay attention to anything you're seeing in the media.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Tyler Gilbert.
I'm not gonna go completely in that direction. I mean, I feel really, really happy for this individual.
Yeah.
You know, a real underdog story. Someone who, you know, it kind of a longer, you know, a longer trip into Major League Baseball. He was drafted 6 years ago, and you know, he's found his way onto a Major League ball club, and I feel really happy for him in particular. But you know, everyone does, and that's the same old story from everyone. And it's things like these are making me realize I might be becoming a bad baseball fan who can't enjoy the romantic things because of advanced statistics. Because
Chris, why don't you get into everything?
Because it made me reflect, because this has been a year of many no-hitters. Obviously, it's been probably one of the themes of 2021. When we look back at 2021, it's probably going to be Shohei Ohtani, the sticky substance saga, and no hitters probably is what I'm thinking of. And maybe fans coming back in the stadium, maybe that also. But I feel like that'll, as we go on, it'll be like, it won't be that as big of a deal. But this is the 7th individual no hitter. So if I, as an analytical baseball fan going into advanced statistics, if I am to abandon the idea of batting average, why am I to really celebrate no hitters this way, especially like the combined no hitters with 8 walks? Am I to say that's a great historic performance? I don't really know. I mean, the combined no hitter had like 8 walks in it. It's a below average on base percentage, but it's like a 250 on base percentage that the Dodgers had that night. So if I'm to abandon batting average, why am I to say that this, Tristan McKenzie yesterday, he took a perfect game into the 8th inning. He only allowed 1 base runner in those 8 innings. I think that might be a more impressive outing than Tyler Gilbert on Saturday. By the way, I feel great for the guy. I mean, it's an incredible night for him that he'll never forget. But how am I to say that that what McKenzie did was not more impressive than what Gilbert did on Saturday night? And also, the baseball savant angle of it also. So actually, as we'll delve into the numbers here, I have some numbers prepared. So this was the most expected batting average in a no-hitter this year. That includes all 8 so far. I didn't look at the 7-inning one back in April with Madison Bumgarner, but
it's probably less.
Yeah. This had a 242 expected batting average. And by the way, a 242 expected batting average in 25 at-bats, which is what the amount of at-bats against Gilbert on Saturday night. That's the amount of at-bats he had against him. A 242 expected batting average in 25 at-bats is 6.05 expected hits. That's a lot. Also, fittingly, 6 batted balls against Gilbert on Saturday night had an expected batting average of 560 or more, and 5 batted balls against Gilbert on Saturday night had an exit velocity of 100 or higher. So, I hate to bring up these numbers. I really do. I genuinely feel bad about myself doing these things, but I can't be an analytical purist and someone who completely enjoys these great moments, because I just look at this if we're to prop up BABIP and talk about how sometimes guys get lucky, sometimes guys get unlucky. If we're to do that, then I can't fully appreciate a no-hitter the way I used to.
I think someone's just mad that their take went down like this.
Yeah.
So anyway, congratulations to Tyler Gilbert. What an incredible story. A great night of his. Absolutely dominant pitching performance. He was getting guys out left and right, carving up that San Diego lineup. They had no idea what to do with themselves up there at the plate against Tyler Gilbert in his first major league start.
Yeah, they were just, you talk about unhittable.
Yeah.
That was Tyler Gilbert. But you understand where I'm coming from a little bit.
I do. They were, like you mentioned, they were more Padres batted balls with a 560 expected batting average or higher than there were Padres strikeouts.
Yeah, and as many 100-mile-an-hour hit baseballs than strikeouts. So yeah, if we as a baseball community are going to prop up FIP, expected batting average, also BABIP as a marker of luck factor. So that means that that the Padres were 0 for 20 on batted balls in play. Obviously, all no hitters are going to have balls in play. That's just a fact. But I mean, a 242 expected batting average on the night. I think the league average batting average is right around 242.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, if we're to prop up, if personally, I'm not speaking for everyone. If I'm to prop up batting average, why am I to celebrate something with a performance with a few base runners? Perfect games are obviously awesome, but I think Tristan McKenzie's performance on Sunday probably was a little better than
I bet. I
than
mean,
Gilbert's.
McKenzie probably had a better game score.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely, I'll check that. I think the bigger takeaway. Let me fix this take up for you to make it sound better while still providing the same message. Tristan McKenzie had a 91 game score yesterday. I think the takeaway from this game is that this isn't nearly as concerning for the Padres lineup as it may seem.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what to take away from this, because I don't want to take away from the no hitter. It's a cool feat. It's a great story. But looking at it from the Padres' perspective, yes, they got no hit, and they have been struggling recently. But that game individually shouldn't be as concerning for the team as it may seem because of their hit column.
Yeah, there should be no Padres fans out there saying like, I can't believe we got no hit by this.
I mean, you can believe you can not believe it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay, because he still had an 89 game score. That's still really good, but McKenzie also had a 91.
Okay. But yeah. Yeah, I don't think Padres fans should be like, I'm extremely disappointed in this offense right now because of their performance against this rookie in his first MLB start. Nah, they actually hit the ball pretty well. For a no hitter, they had 6 expected hits.
Overall, it still wasn't a great game for them.
Yeah, 6 hits and or 6 expected hits in 9 innings is still not amazing, but it was like an average night for their offense peripherally, but yeah. So I mean, I'm not gonna win out over many people with that, but that's just my point of view. It's like an analytical or advanced stats purist is like,
Wow.
I can't really.
Joe Musgrove pitched 5 innings and almost had more swings and misses.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I don't mind. If Gilbert went out and had, if Gilbert was out there like getting crazy soft contact where guys just didn't know what to do and maybe had one walk, that's a different story. But Padres were hitting the ball.
They had a
pretty well.
38.7% hard hit rate.
And again, I should repeat myself. I feel very good for this individual, Tyler Gilbert. He's like, this is the best moment of his life.
It's also cool for the Diamondbacks to have this in a completely lost season.
Yeah, it's great for everything, and that's why I hate to crap all over this the way I am, because I honestly do hate to do it. It's not even a facetious thing.
Chris, do you hate to do it though?
I actually do, because
okay. I feel like you haven't said it enough.
I don't appreciate myself thinking this way, but it's just how I'm wired, and I had to get it out. And it's also, it's not a take you're going to hear from a regular old show on a MLB Network or anything.
I mean, listen, like the reality is, like, baseball is a game of luck. Like
Nobody, like, very, very, very rarely is
someone's luck perfect with how they're actually performing. Like there's going to be like part of the game is line drives that go right at people. You can't control where you hit the ball most of the time. Part of the game is, soft contact that results in hits. Nothing's ever going to play out the exact way it should on paper. And that was the case to a bit of an extreme with this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Every no-hitter we've covered this year has had batted balls with expected batting average of 500 or better.
I think John Means only had like 1, and it was the very last one.
Yeah, and you don't even need StatCast for this. There's never been a 27 strikeout no hitter where the expected batting average was 0. Any no hitter with any no hitter with any batted balls in play has an expected batting average above 0. So, everyone's gonna have a little luck go their way, but this is, as you said, this is kind of an extreme example, but overall, good performance from the guy, and I wish him all the best in his future
Absolutely.
endeavors.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts because it was the seventh no hitter. I think that's what pushed me over the edge. This is the seventh no hitter, and you know, and by the way, perfect game. Mackenzie took his into the eighth. We haven't had one in 9 years, so it kind of shows
It was the
shows how
second
special a
closest.
perfect game is.
It's the second closest we've gotten all year too.
Yeah, because of Carlos Rodon.
Yeah, against that very same Indians team that Tristan McKenzie almost brought there.
Right. Yeah, by the way, Musgrove no hits and gets no hit against.
Yeah.
There's some tweet out there saying he was like one of
I think
three
Sarah
people.
Lang's had it. Yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to Hugh Daly, otherwise known as One Arm Daly. Who,
Yeah.
we had no idea that was his nickname, because we've known of Hugh Daly for plenty of time. We just did not
Hugh
realize he
Daly.
was One Arm Daly.
Yeah, Hugh Daly. If you want to read more about him, go to the deadballdigest.wordpress.com. 1884 year of the workforce, where I talk about Hugh Daly and him having the strikeout per nine record for about 70 years, I believe, after his 1884 season. I mean,
Wow.
no one was able to be within.
And now it's like 300th all time.
Yeah. 8.7 strikeouts per nine is below league average now. But back in 1884, he was
untouchable. He was almost getting a guy per inning.
He was Randy Johnson at that point. So yeah, shout out to Hugh Daly, shout out to Bobo Holloman, shout out to Bumpus Jones. All those guys also had no hitters in their first career
Theodore,
MLB
last
starts.
name I can't pronounce.
Yeah, I forget the fourth one.
It was Theodore, and then some last name that I can't pronounce that started with a B.
Yeah, he's the bass player of that band. No offense to bass players, but they never get the love. All right, so if the audience still wants to listen after I've totally squashed
Theodore Breitenstein.
Shout
out to Theodore Breitenstein, who in 1891 in his first start, he started one game that year. We don't have game logs for it, unfortunately, unless you go to Retro Sheet.
Retro Sheet. Interesting.
I'm assuming it was they got it from the Elias Sports Bureau.
Yeah, probably.
I can't I don't know. I'm not super familiar with Retro Sheet. I've only used it a handful of times, but I don't know if you can search by no hitters and first career starts in that.
Yeah, those things are tough to find on the places where you can get it, where the entire public can get it, not just the special organizations that can go out and get these types of statistics. It's what separates us from places like MLB Network.
Yep.
We can go on StatHead all we want, but we cannot find who had no hitters in their first MLB starts ever in the 1890s. Not going to be able to do that, unfortunately. So if anyone is still listening after I completely destroyed the romantic side of Tyler Gilbert's no hitter, which it is truly an amazing story, and as sports journalists, we can't deny that. I mean, that's just amazing what happened. But it's a 1 in a million thing that really happened, truly, for many reasons. That's what I'll leave off on. The other amazing thing to happen since our last episode, we previewed it in the last episode. We did not expect the literal fireworks to happen the way that they did. I personally missed it live. I only saw highlights on Twitter because I needed to see Mac Jones in action. But Daniel was able to watch the Field of Dreams game, the most watched regular season game in 16 years. Just go over the whole experience of watching this on TV.
I mean, it was one of the more entertaining. Like, obviously, I watched a ton of baseball, but this is one of the more entertaining experiences I've had watching, a game just based on broadcast. Like, like they had the early 1900s style like mini scoreboard on the TV. The logos and everything. First of all, like that was all very cool. The ceremony that they had at the beginning with Kevin Costner walking out of the cornfields and then like just bopping around the field for like 2 minutes to get the shallow center before all the players emerged from the corn. Like that gave me chills. That was the greatest ceremony I've ever seen before any baseball game. I think it's the best one that's happened in our lifetime. I think the only one in history that can compete with that one is when they brought Ted Williams out before the 1999 All-Star game. That was obviously not in our lifetimes. We would be born a year later. But,
Right.
I mean, that image was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Like, yeah, I remember I was, like, looking something up. I was looking up a stat while watching it, and as soon as I saw, like, Costner walking around, I had to close my computer, man. Like, I had to stop everything to watch it. It was really, really cool. They had Costner. He made like a little speech on the field beforehand where he finished up by saying, "Is this heaven?" And the entire crowd in unison yelled, "No, it's Iowa." Like that, like as should I say it? Yeah, I'm gonna say it. As corny as it was like they milked the crap out of it, but it was awesome. It was so cool. And
Yeah.
MLB really did capitalize on the way that the way that they choreographed that whole ceremony where like they had the music going. Kevin Costner looked out to the corn at the perfect moment right before all the players emerged from the corn. They obviously had to rehearse that. Like there's no way that it happened spontaneously like that. It was all so perfect. And then the game itself. I figured they would probably juice the balls a little bit because the whole appeal of the game was home runs going into the cornfields. Like, can you imagine if it was like a 3-2 game where like all the runs were scored on like sac flies and RBI singles? Like, no one wants that.
Yeah.
I think there were 8 home runs hit total. So let's see. Aaron Judge hit 2. Eloy hit 1. Jose Abreu hit 1. Stanton hit 1. Gardner hit 1. Sebi Zavala hit 1. And then obviously Tim Anderson hit the walk-off.
Yeah.
The game itself was great. The White Sox gave up a 7-3 lead, or a 7-4 lead in the 9th. The Yankees took the lead, and then immediately the White Sox walked it off. Like the game itself was perfect.
Yeah. It would have been funny, by the way, if a fan got a ball and they took a picture and it was like, why does this baseball say 2017 World Series on it? It's like they took out the old 17ers from the World Series. Like,
yeah.
we got to bring these out for the corn.
Yeah,
For the
I mean,
corn game.
you can't risk just no home runs being hit at that game at that site.
Yeah, imagine a no hitter and well, actually the no hitter would be cool, but like a 2-hit shutout.
2-hit shot, yeah. Like people like the first thing people thought was like, I need to see home runs going into the corn, and we got it.
Yeah,
We definitely got it.
Got plenty of it. I mean, they did choose 2 good lineups to have that be a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially with Andrew Heaney, the ex-FIP Lord, on the mound.
Yeah, the Yankees probably had someone else scheduled, and they were like, "We're gonna need Heaney to go out
We're
there.
gonna need Heaney.
We saw it.
Do your thing. 3
Give me
home
the
runs
lefty."
allowed. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everything on the internet I was seeing, I was like, "Dang, it's tough. It's tough to miss a night like this as someone who considers himself a big baseball fan." But I was watching football in a semi-excited Gillette Stadium, watching an old quarterback battle. Good night though. The great Alex Ricard was there.
Oh, nice.
Um,
So, I tweeted this, but I was thinking like, MLB did a really good job of just running with the theme of the whole thing. Like, you know, the having Tom Verducci wearing like a straw hat with like knickers and like, all that whole outfit. You know, having John Smoltz do the same thing, like, and having the old style broadcast and having the wooden scoreboard. Like MLB ran with the idea of the old time baseball game, and they did a really good job of sticking to that theme. I think we need to figure out a way to do that with like all-star games.
Yeah, it would be interesting to do that. And yeah, we're big fans of throwing it back with the like dead ball era type
Of course,
jerseys,
of
or
course.
even
But,
like
like, okay,
20s and 30s.
like next year's All-Star game is in LA, and I know that they usually do some sort of All-Star game things where, like, you know, in Cleveland they did like the promos with all the players with the guitars. Like that was cool, but like incorporate that into the game somehow. Like the All-Star game has kind of been not as fun to watch. It's more just like a regular game with a couple little things here and there that aren't that exciting. Like run with the theme of having the like in LA next year, Hollywood themed, like beach themed. Do whatever you need to do to run with the theme of LA next year.
Yeah, at least like with the player, when you have the players' last names, have it in like the Hollywood sign font, or like have it angled like the Hollywood sign. Yeah,
Yeah,
just an idea floating around.
I
But
was so I was brainstorming for the last few days, and I think one thing we should do is when they present the All-Star Game MVP, they should do it Oscars style, where it's like and the All-Star Game MVP goes to. They like to open the envelope. There's like 4 finalists, and it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. All
yeah,
right, like,
that'd
do
be a
that.
great idea.
That'd be a fun idea. I don't know what else. Do you have any ideas for a possible LA All-Star Game theme? Like
I think that's
I think the scoreboard should be like the mini scoreboard on the broadcast should be like they have like the stars for each like inside each of like the scores where it's like if the score is like 6-3, you have a star inside the 6, inside the 3 for like Hollywood. Um
right.
Maybe
Yeah,
you can remember each team like I mentioned earlier.
that would be a good idea. With the if they kind of committed to the city hosting it, it would be interesting. I mean, I think what made this past Thursday's game like extremely special is the fact that like you don't see Major League Baseball in Iowa ever. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's not a team there. So they definitely committed to the Hollywood, or not the literal Hollywood side of it, but the Hollywood side of it, and that it was
Mhm.
made after a movie. But yeah, I mean, it would be interesting if the All-Star game just for a year, they decided like LA is the perfect city
Yeah,
to do
that's the
that in.
perfect test because there's so many things you can do with it. Like imagine like if MLB like partnered with a bunch of like movie like companies and they had like imagine if Ken Rosenthal, Tom Verducci had like costumes based on certain movies that they like wore onto the field.
Right, yeah.
Like I don't know, I'm trying to think. What are
It,
some like good movies that
it would be
you can
hard
do that with?
to repeat that. Like I wonder what they would have done in Denver this year with that city.
Right. I mean, like the thing that comes to mind is the mountains, obviously. But I mean, if you're gonna like, I know MLB can be creative with this stuff. I think they could figure out a way. And I mean, they have the perfect testing ground next year.
Oh yeah, they can certainly do better than a commercial where a baggage handler is talking about home runs like they did this past
Oh,
year.
that was brutal.
That was
Yeah. I mean, I will say that one commercial with all the players like in the cars, like that was cool. But
Yeah.
find a way to incorporate it into the game itself.
Yeah, that baggage handler.
I know they can do it.
Yeah, that baggage handler. Like if you were watching any MLB game a month leading up to the All-Star game, it came up like 5 times each
It was
game.
so brutal.
And
Yeah.
man, it did not get better any of the times. But yeah, yeah, they can do better. LA would be the perfect city to experiment with that.
What would they have done with Atlanta?
With Atlanta, I mean,
That'd be a tough one.
pre controversy. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, I'm, I'm, that, It's the thing with me. I don't know.
I don't know
I don't
either.
know too much about our country, just in general. Like Atlanta. Atlanta has a big hip hop scene. I know that. You could have done something with that. Have like
What is Atlanta known for?
I would say
I
hip
guess
hop.
peaches, right?
Okay. Um. Yeah, but LA would be definitely the
Yeah,
perfect
LA
city.
is the perfect testing ground.
Yeah. And then, I don't know what you follow it up with.
But you know what? I mean, it's not our job to figure it out.
Yeah. But then it would be brutal when they go to Boston and every stereotype that we hear about is just
Honestly, I'm cool with it. Like
exfoliated.
if it's nationally appealing, whatever. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it would be obnoxious. Like oh, we got chowder flavored uniforms or something like that. Like chowder themed uniforms or something like well, no. That'd be tough.
You just do it. They just make all their assumptions off of Goodwill Hunting. It's like,
Yeah,
they're all geniuses that are janitors. It's
yeah.
crazy. It's the All-Star game.
They have Harvard uniforms.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, So yeah, good job on. So good job to. Sometimes we do it sarcastically, but actually a good job on Major League Baseball
Yeah.
for.
We very
for-
rarely get to say that, but Major League Baseball knocked it out of the park with this one.
Yeah,
And Rob Manfred announced that it's going to be back next year. It's got to be. It's got to be. I mentioned this to you off camera. This would never happen. But imagine if next year the game was Orioles Twins and they had St. Louis Browns versus Washington Senators uniforms.
right. Like yeah, you gotta have the dead ball team in
Which
there. No
obviously
matter
that
how good
matchup
they
isn't
are.
appealing because both of them are pretty bad.
Yeah,
But it'd be cool.
yeah, and we were saying like, they'll obviously they would be the league to just follow this up with Rays D-backs teams with no real historical background. They'll
They
just
weren't
have
even around when Field of Dreams came out.
yeah, exactly. And also, RIP to the two teams that are going to have to follow this
Yeah.
next
Because
year.
I was thinking, like, if they can't do that same pregame ceremony next year, can they? I mean, I guess they could, but it's not going to be as cool.
Um,
Like Kevin Costner coming out of the
oh yeah,
horn.
no,
Like
they can't
gotta
do that
figure
every
out
year.
They got to figure out another way to do it, and they're gonna have to keep doing it every single year because there's no way they're just gonna ever stop doing this now that they've already established it.
Yeah, I don't know if they can do that ceremony repeatedly. I mean, they're going to have games there, and people are going to be interested for that reason. But
Yeah.
you're not going to get the same reaction that you did the first time it happened. If you watch a movie the second time, it's not the same as the first time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the MLB markets this for when it's not completely new, and when it's a thing that happens annually and happens every year. You kind of know what to expect. So we'll see how Major League Baseball handles that. So yeah, a serious shout out to them, not sarcastic.
Yeah.
Good on them for getting this going. The last bit of news to talk about. Speaking of, the Tyler Gilbert, he hit the Padres the day after Fernando Tatis Jr. came back from his injury with his left shoulder subluxation, and he is in something we didn't address, but it was a kind of a news story probably in the last episode, or by the time the last episode came out. But he was playing right field yesterday, and he's going to be playing outfield for pretty much the rest of the year. Apparently, it's to, take stress off of his left shoulder, which I guess it makes sense if you're not reaching down. It's not going to affect it as much. Maybe I don't know the full details about it, but Padres continuously going to be throwing out pretty interesting lineups for sure.
This is completely off topic, but I just found out Fernando Tatis Jr. is slugging 795 on fastballs this year.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That is
Yeah.
insane.
Right. But yeah, he's playing right field. The the rich get richer with Fernando Tatis Jr. Coming back. I have to go back to see what the lineup was yesterday. Who they kicked out.
I
'cause
mean, like,
think-
they're gonna need him because the Padres, I think, are only like 3 games up in the wild card. I mean, realistically, they're definitely not catching the Giants, and they're probably not catching the Dodgers either. So, I mean, their best bet is going on the road for the wild card game right now, and even that's not a guarantee. So they're gonna need Fernando to come back and be Fernando, regardless of if he's a shortstop or a right fielder.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah. So I think we've talked about how Will Myers was kind of the odd man out after the Frazier trade because obviously they weren't going to bench Hosmer because of the money that he's making. So yeah, Myers ended up being the odd man out yesterday. Not necessarily saying he's going to be the odd man out continuously, but yeah, Tatis playing right field. It does remind me actually that the Padres starting rotation has been kind of underwhelming. Like I looked it up.
Yeah, it has. Well, Darvish just went on the IL.
Yeah. And I went to Fangraphs and saw their 10th in the National League in starter ERA. So I mean, if you're thinking like why might the Padres be slightly underperforming, it's probably their starting rotation because they were expected to be like a top 5 rotation in baseball, especially after the acquisitions they made, but they've been disappointed. But I mean, I think with Tatis going to right field, I mean, I think we kind of went over it. Like Myers just seems to be kind of the odd man out now.
Yeah, he does. Shout out to my player to watch.
Yeah. Cronenworth seems to have made himself comfortable at shortstop, which is interesting to see.
Yeah.
He's been doing pretty well defensively, and he's made Don Orsillo. Shout out to him. He's made the Crone zone pretty.
Yep. Hit it, and you can hit it wherever you want, but you can't hit it to the Crone zone.
He's made it a pretty widespread, saying, and yeah. So yeah, Tatis gonna be in the outfield for the rest of the year. Should be interesting to see how that happens. Is he'll probably he's a very good athlete. He'll probably do just okay. He's got a good arm, and yeah, it'll be interesting. I wonder, you hope nothing bad happens in a big moment where a regular outfielder would have done something that Tatis Jr. couldn't have been able to do. You hope that doesn't happen. But just gotta put him somewhere. It also reminds me like we gotta get this DH rule in.
Oh my, yes we do. Yes, we absolutely do. We can't have these log jams in San Diego where it's like, I think Eric Hosmer was saying like he feels like the odd man out, and I guess I kind of get it, but I mean, like that's tough. Yeah, we need to get that in ASAP next year.
Because I'm wondering if Tatis, if this was last year, and Tatis came back, is he in the DH or is it someone else? I'm not sure.
I mean, are you gonna put a 23-year-old full time as the DH? Like, I find that hard to believe.
Well, it's as you mentioned, it's a shorter term thing. It's only going to be for.
It is a shorter term thing, but like, I mean, I'm hoping by next year, his shoulder is much better because there's been procedures done to it to ensure that it won't pop out anymore.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, I think there's more risk of the 2 times he's injured it this year. It's been on offense, whether it be on the bases or hitting. It hasn't been an issue in the field, but
yeah,
still you don't want to risk it in the field. Just a couple thoughts there. All right, so do we want to get into our players to highlight?
Let's do it.
All right. So now for our Monday, August 16th, 2021 edition of Who Do You Have For Us Today?
My How About That is someone who has been an unsung hero in an otherwise perennially struggling unit. I actually just realized this guy's been playing professional baseball since he was 16. Because I'm looking at his fan graphs through the minor leagues and major leagues, and it started in 2012. So I was like, oh, if he's been in the minors since 2012, probably a bit old. No, he's 25. Talking about Ranger Suarez of the
Ah,
Philadelphia Phillies, we are knocking a team off the list. I'm doing it for the second straight show, and I promise this isn't an attempt to just knock a team off the list because Ranger Suarez is very deserving of a how about that. He has a 107 ERA for the Phillies this year, both as a starter and as a reliever. And he's the probable starter for Philadelphia on Wednesday in Arizona, and doing so, he will become the first Phillies pitcher since Ed Farmer in 1982 to have 4 starts and 4 saves in a season. A big factor for his dominance this year has been with his sinker, which is his primary pitch. He throws it 48.9% of the time. Hitters are batting 139 against it with a 152 slugging percentage in 89 plate appearances. And it is just one of 14 pitches in all of baseball to have a negative 14 run value. And I don't mean pitchers, I mean pitches. His sinker is one of 14 pitches in baseball among the 944 pitches who have accumulated 50 plate appearances throughout the year. Out of those 944, Ranger Suarez's sinker is tied for 7th in run value per 100 pitches. What that means is for every 100 pitches for every 100 sinkers that Ranger Suarez throws, he's preventing about 3.8 runs from scoring, which sounds ridiculous, but that's what it is. Every time he throws 100 sinkers, it prevents about 3.8 runs from scoring based on the results that he's getting. That is tied for 7th among the 944 pitches to have accumulated 50 plate appearances. And his changeup also ranks 49th in run value per 100 pitches, making him one of just 2 pitchers in the majors to have 2 pitches in the top 55 of run value per 100. So that is Ranger Suarez.
here we go. Ranger Suarez. Very interesting stuff with the pitch specific statistics there. We're all still learning about these things, but yeah, the 3.8 runs being prevented per 100 pitches thrown on the sinker. Very, very interesting stuff. One of the most effective pitches in baseball, you'd say.
There's a case.
Yeah, and shout out to the Mets. We weren't gonna do a how about that on Jacob deGrom. Obviously, we had separate segments on him. Taijuan Walker was doing well. I guess the expected stats we were kind of iffy on. I mean, Stroman's done well, but the Mets are the last team we're going to be doing a how about that for.
Yeah.
So they're the last team on the list.
I believe the Phillies, this is the first time we've done one ever. I don't think we did a Philly last season, and we hadn't done one this season until Ranger Suarez.
Yeah, no. I don't think we did a Philly. There's not one that I can recall.
Neither can I.
So, yeah, good on them. They're in second place right now. I think 1 game back. The Braves are in first place. How about that? But that's another conversation. My how about that is on another generally struggling team. We talked about how this rotation has had some big health problems, but this guy is doing his best to kind of counteract that. And we actually talked about him. He was in a segment last year because of a big trade he was in. He was in the Mike Clevenger deal, and he's what Cleveland brought back. He was probably the headliner of what Cleveland was able to bring back. Cal Quantrill, in the second half, he has a league-leading 1.25 ERA in 36 innings pitched. A lot of this has to do with how hard guys are hitting the ball against him. In the first half, his average exit velocity against was 87.8 miles per hour, and his hard hit rate against was 39%. In the second half, his average exit velocity against is 82.0 miles per hour, and his hard hit rate is 27%. That's a 5.8 mile an hour difference on the average exit velocity and a 12% difference on the hard hit rate. And the average hard hit rate is about 35%. So He's been 8 percentage points below that in the second half. And of the 144 pitchers with 50 batted balls against in the second half, Quantrill has the 4th lowest average exit velocity against and the 7th lowest hard hit rate against. So Cal Quantrill.
Good
Been
stuff, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Okay. When you called my name, I thought the biggest nightmare ever is that you actually did a how about that on Cal Quantrill like a couple weeks
Oh.
ago.
No, I did not.
Yeah, I did make one flub where I thought I crossed him with the team off the list a few episodes back.
And it was the reigning MVP.
Yeah, and it was the rain MVP.
that makes it even worse.
Yeah, I mean, I did make it an ARR comeback special, but
Yeah.
still, it's the MVP. You expect him to come back. Yeah, that not my best moment there. But now we go to some other players and subjects that are not having their best moments, where we go from the highest to the lowest, talking about players or subjects that have been underperforming. So now for our August 16th, 2021 edition of
Slightly alarming.
Who do you got for us today?
So I'm doing something that I feel like I've been doing a lot lately. I'm sticking within the same division for my how about that and my slightly alarming. This is not exactly a recent trend. This is something that's been going on for a longer period of time. I'm talking about Victor Robles because he was a consensus top 5 prospect in baseball when he came up through the national system. You know, in I think pre 2019, it was like Shohei Ohtani, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Victor Robles. Like I think it was like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't really seen it from him. He had a 2.5 win season in 2019 at age 22. And, you know, we thought that was only the beginning from him, and he hasn't really had much better of a season since. Since the start of 2020, he is slashing 213, 307, 311 with a 618 OPS. Among the 155 hitters with at least 500 plate appearances since 2020, Robles has a 70 weighted runs created plus, which ranks 5th last, and a 311 slugging and a negative .5 FOR, which both rank 2nd to last. And when Robles was in the minors, the highest strikeout rate he had with any team in a season, minimum 25 plate appearances, was 18.3%. He was never striking out more than that in any tenure he had through the minors. Through 340 career major league games, his strikeout percentage is 23.4%, 5% higher than it was in the minors. And this season, this is probably the most interesting one. This season, he actually has a career high hard hit rate with, I believe, 26.9%. Still 3rd percentile in the league with his highest yet. So, obviously I'm not giving up on Victor Robles yet. He's still 24. He can figure it out whenever he needs to. But at what point do we start thinking this guy was a top 5 prospect in baseball? When are we going to start seeing that?
Right. Victor Robles.
Slightly alarming.
He was my 2020 Nationals player to watch. So yeah, I mean, we definitely expected a lot more out of him. I was thinking, as you were saying, like 2019, just the beginning, he's going to be, someone who is going to be doing it all around, offense, defense, on the bases. That's what I was thinking for 2020 from Victor Robles, but hasn't
Yeah,
been able
I
to
mentioned the negative .5 FWAR since 2020. Like, how much worse could that be if he wasn't an elite defender?
Oh yeah, I mean, a 70 weighted runs created plus over
531 plate appearances,
yeah,
basically a whole season.
Yeah, that he would be definitely a full win under replacement for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something to beware of there with Victor Robles. Yeah, Nationals haven't had great luck in the past few years with prospects with Robles and Keyboom.
Keyboom's been a little better lately though.
That's good to hear. But that guy
He's Keyboom has a 101 OPS plus this year. He's at least above average.
Yeah.
He's slashing 261, 342, 377.
Yeah, luckily that Juan Soto guy worked out all right.
Yeah, a lot.
he's done well. Now, for my slightly alarming, he was mentioned a little bit before in the show, and it's kind of weird to bring him up because he did just go on the IL, but this is his second IL stint, and his struggles have been going on for a little bit, and I don't know if it has to do entirely with what his health is, but he's been able to make most of his starts. Yu Darvish, in his last 7 starts, he has a 7.13 ERA and a 5.48 FIP in 35 and a third innings pitched. Among the 99 pitchers with 30 plus innings pitched since July 3rd, his ERA ranks last. He has given up 11 home runs in the 7-start span, which are tied for the 4th most allowed in this span. Also before the span, his barrel rate against was 5.6%, and in the span, his barrel rate against is 11.9%. So it's more than doubled. And specifically against his 4-seam fastball, his barrel rate against is 30%. There's been 20 batted balls against his fastball in the span. 6 of them have been barrels. That's 30%. And you may think, on a 4-seam fastball, usually across the league, barrel rates are going to be inflated against that pitch because it's the pitch that moves the least. It's more of a strike pitch, but that is true, but it's not that by that much. The league average barrel rate against 4-seam fastballs this year is 10.2%. Yu Darvish in his last 7 starts against the 4-seam fastball barrel rate is 30%, almost triple the league average on that pitch. So Yu Darvish getting a
Slightly alarming.
and maybe his health has a little bit to do with that, and maybe his IL stint will solve things, but not what you're looking for as a Padres fan, no matter what.
So I have a few things to say about Yu Darvish. First of all, I'm glad you highlighted him because I had been looking at doing him for months because he just hasn't really been performing well throughout kind of the whole year. But he would be the 3rd Padres pitcher that I highlighted on Slightly Alarming, so I didn't feel like doing that. Second of all this time he's been struggling, and you highlighted him on his birthday. That's tough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Happy 35th birthday, Yu Darvish. You've been
Happy
really struggling
35th
lately, and you're
birthday.
hurt.
Your gift is being featured on Above Replacement Radio.
Yeah. Also, another thing, it's bad for Yu Darvish when Baseball Reference no longer recognizes him as the all-time strikeouts per 9 leader.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Chris Sale has it now,
Nice.
even though they both have 11.1 strikeouts per 9.
Yeah. All downhill for Darvish. In the in the past 7 starts. I mean, he started out decently, but then he's had a rough stretch that's been going on about a couple 6 weeks. Not a couple months yet, but about 6 weeks. But you doing another Padres starter would be like me doing another, I think, Yankees position player. I think I've done 3 Yankees position players at this point. LeMahieu, Frazier, and someone else I'm not quite thinking of, but yeah, it would be tough. All right, so now we get into the preview of the week ahead, where I talk about the series to watch. Daniel goes over the day-by-day matchups. And by the way, my one spoiler for the day-by-day matchups. How about that for this week? Cal Quantrill is pitching tonight, Monday. So if you want to check that out, he's facing the Twins. But that's all I'll say on that. So I think the series to watch in terms of the competitive juices might be flowing. It's a rematch of the playoffs from last year, except this will be happening in the other ballpark. It's going to be White Sox Athletics. Some okay pitching matchups in this one. It's a 3-game series. Both have the exact same record at 68 and 50. The Athletics are trending pretty well at the moment. Tonight you have Dallas Keuchel versus Frankie Montas. Tuesday night you have Ronaldo Lopez versus Chris Bassett. And Wednesday at 2 o'clock, I believe. Or is it 2 o'clock? Or is it 8 o'clock? At 8 o'clock, it's going to be Lance Lynn versus Cole Irvin. And, oh, I lied. It's not a 3-gamer. It's a 4-gamer. On Thursday, where we're going to be also recording, at 2 o'clock, you have Dylan Cease versus James Caprillion. So that is the most competitive series to watch for this upcoming week. What do you got for day-by-day matchups?
Yeah. So starting tonight on Monday, Garrett Cole makes his return from the COVID IL. He starts in the makeup game against the Angels. That is a 1-gamer at Yankee Stadium because the final game of the series got rained out beforehand and the Angels had to go back home. So they didn't have time to play another game in New York. You have Touki Toussaint going tonight against Braxton Garrett, both very young pitchers who, haven't exactly been great, but, there's always room for potential. You have Chris's How About That, Cal Quantrill going for the Cleveland Baseball Club. You have Kevin Gausman going tonight for the Giants. And then my match for the night, definitely an interesting one. Justin Steele of the Cubs versus Wade Miley of the Reds. Justin Steele has been getting a lot of attention lately as a possible up-and-coming arm in the Cubs rotation. And Wade Miley obviously has been pitching very well this year as a whole. So on Tuesday, you have Alek Manoah going for the Blue Jays against the Nationals. You have John Means going for the Orioles against Tampa Bay. You have Sandy Alcantara going for the Marlins against the Braves. You have Spencer Howard pitching for the Rangers. Is he making his? You have a pair of acquisitions going against each other with Tyler Anderson going for the Mariners against Spencer Howard for the Rangers. I don't know if that's Howard's first Rangers start or not. You have Framber Valdez going for the Astros against Kansas City. You have Chris Bassett versus Ronaldo Lopez in A's White Sox, like Chris mentioned. You have Herman Marquez going for the Colorado Rockies at home. You have Marcus Stroman versus Logan Webb. It's an interesting matchup. From Mets Giants, you have Kyle Gibson going for the Phillies. You have David Price going for the Dodgers. And then matchup of the day, I would say, is Corbin Burns versus Adam Wainwright in Brewers Cardinals. A very old school versus new school matchup in St. Louis. That'll be an interesting one. And then last but not least, on Wednesday, you have Tyler Mahle going for the Reds against the Cubs. You have Zach Plesac, one of my slightly alarmings recently, going for Cleveland. You have Anthony DeSclafani going for the Giants against the Mets. You have okay, I'll save that one for later. You have Shohei Ohtani going for the Angels against the Tigers in Detroit. You have Charlie Morton going for the Braves against the Marlins. You have Jose Barrios versus Josiah Gray. That's like basically the all pitching ninja matchup in Blue Jays and Nationals.
Right. All trade deadline matchup.
Yeah. Yep. You have Marco Gonzalez going for the Mariners. That's he's been doing much better lately. You have Zach Greinke going for the Astros. Cole Irvin versus Lance Lynn. You have Ranger Suarez. How about that going on Wednesday for the Phillies? And then match for the day comes to us again from Brewers and Cardinals. You have Freddie Peralta versus Jack Flaherty. Jack Flaherty might lead the National League in wins while missing 2 months.
Oh, really?
He's 9-1.
9-1.
Yeah.
I think Arias has 13.
He could catch him.
He could, yeah. Flaherty definitely could catch him. If all goes well.
Yep.
Yeah. Funny thing about Marco Gonzalez. So when I did the Jameson tie-on, how about that? He led in a certain span in pop-ups induced, and then I went to make an Instagram post the next day with
and Marco Gonzalez had passed him.
Marco Gonzalez had passed him. He had the most pop-ups induced over this 5-6 week span. So shout out to him. All right, we hope you enjoyed this one. We hope, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and want to watch the conversation as it happens, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. It is called Above Replacement Radio. check out the playlist too. We've got the history series there where it is kind of optimal to watch it on YouTube. Also, if you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta, and follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio to get those kinds of stat graphics and all the updates from the show. And we hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you on Thursday, where we're going to be talking about all the ongoings of Major League Baseball once again. See you then.
This conversation is over.